Excellent. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out the time to come for this. This is a session that I've been planning for a while. I had originally planned to do this session last week, but when I started preparing the content, I realized there is so much more to it, and I did not want to do this in a hurry. So I thought I'll take some time, prepare some really good case studies around it, and then get started, right? Many of you know me. For the benefit of those who don't know who I am, my name is Havish Madhupati. I run an analytics firm called Havisham Consulting. We're a small boutique analytics firm. What we do is training, consulting, coaching on various analytics tools. We are a member of the Microsoft Partner Network. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I was listed as a 40 under 40 analytics. We are also a member of NASSCOM and CII. Collectively, we have done over 1,500 corporate workshops over the last decade. In addition to the corporate bit, I also teach at a number of B schools. So I'm a visiting faculty at MICA, MDI Murshidabad, and Shillong, so on and so forth. We also have a YouTube channel, which I'll be introducing later. So there's a lot of supplemental content that you will find on YouTube as well. Perfect. I think without further ado, let me get started. Okay, first of all, what is the agenda for today? Today is not going to be about data. There is no analytics today. Why not? Of course, it is very important, but I've already done a few sessions on analytics on no-code Python. Those videos are already available on YouTube on our GenAI playlist. Plus, we are planning more sessions for that. So that's why I wanted to tell you what today's session is not about. It is not about analytics. It is not about data. It is simply about creating SOPs, workflows, diagrams, and mockups. So when I say a mockup, it means that we're not working with real data, but we're going to work with representative data, data that's based on real business and real requirements. And broadly, there'll be three tools that I'll be covering. Number one will be Chat GPT. Number two will be Claude, and number three will be Mermaid. Claude is where we'll be spending most of our time because Claude is a much better tool than ChatGPT when it comes to creating diagrams, infographics, mockups, etc. Perfect. Let's get started. So the first example I want to take is on ICICI and a few hygiene factors before we get into it. Any questions you have, you can ask me on the chat window, even though I can't see the chat window right now. So my request would be just speak to me. Whenever you have a question, no need to raise your hand or anything. Just say, Havish, can we ask a question? And I'll be happy to address it, even though I'll keep time at the end for questions as well. My plan is to finish by about 9 o'clock so that we have 15 minutes for the Q&A. Any big question that you have that I can't answer today, I will try my very best to answer it. If not, then, I'll at least share a link or something with you. The session is going to be very, very in-depth, so you might want to watch the recording again. The session will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube. And I'll also be sharing the PDF and the files with you so that you can practice whatever you're watching today later when you get the chance. So the first example I want to work on is for ICICI. We want to create a customer onboarding diagram. Now, if you look at the prompt that I have written, this is not a basic prompt. If I read one of these for you, it says, design a comprehensive onboarding diagram. It visually maps the step-by-step process from initial contact to fully utilizing the bank services. Then it talks about key touchpoint, submission, activation, onboarding, so on and so forth. Now, what is the need of writing such a big prompt? To be honest, we don't. As you can see, if I come over to Claude, all of you will be able to notice that I can simply write as simple as create a diagram for ICICI for customer onboarding. And as you can see, even with a single line prompt, it is able to create the entire diagram for me. It typically takes anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds, depending on how complex your prompt is and how detailed the diagram is. But at least as a starting point, it does a fantastic job. Now, the thing is, why is it black? Now, some of it has to do with the fact that I'm working on dark mode, but this is not the best way to view this. This diagram has a code behind it. And what you're looking at right now is a programming language called Mermaid. So Mermaid, everyone, is a language that is based on JavaScript. It has been created specifically for creating diagrams, organization chart, Gantt chart, process charts, etc. Where else can you run it? I can simply copy it. So at the bottom, there is a copy option. I can copy the code, and then we can go to a website called mermaid.live. The website is free to use. I can simply paste my code here. And as you can see, it creates the entire diagram for me. Okay, the next thing is you might say, but Havish, what if I want to make an addition to it? Like, this is all very nice, but what if I want to customize it? For example, it says start, but I want to call it initiate. As you can see, I can simply come over here, just identify that word, and if I change that to initiate, you can make the change. What about adding a new point? So let us say after initiate, there is a screening process. That means I need to add a node between initiate and collecting the KYC document. Again, as you can see, the path that I've highlighted, it's not that difficult, right? There is a bit of a learning curve, but it's not like super difficult. All I'll do here is I'll just copy the line one more time. And then what I'll do is in the second one, I will take the doc, which is basically the documentation, and I'll keep it here. And with a little bit of formatting, what we can do is in the previous one, we can just say this is the screening, and I'll just call it the screening process, right? And let's keep the screening here as well. Right? Let me just make sure I've done everything correctly. Just a moment. Okay, I might be making some tiny mistake, but let me fix that. Hold on. Oh, got it. Nevertheless, what we'll do is to do it in a little bit of a hurry. What I can also do is to make it easier. Of course, we can change the code there as well, but that's a little tricky, as you saw, can't do it in a hurry. But we can always come here to Claude and ask it to do it for us. For example, I can select these two lines, and there are two options we have. One is to improve it, the other is to explain it. So I can click on improve and I can ask it, add a step in the middle called screening, right? In the interest of time, I'm using Claude directly. And as you can see, you can clearly see here, it has added a step in the middle. We can copy the code one more time, come back, paste it. And let's open it again. Yep. And here you go. We have the step that has been added. So it's a great way of learning as well. At any point, if you're not sure if you're modifying the code correctly, no need to worry. Let's say I made a mistake here, right? Now it tells me there is an error. It's as simple as copying it, coming back to Claude, and then asking it, fix my error for me. So I can simply say, fix my error. So that's the beauty of generative AI, that even if you don't get something right, you're not completely dependent on the tool. You can ask the tool to rebuild what you have accidentally incorrected, right? So as you can see, even if the code was incorrect, you can fix it. So that's the first example I wanted to give to you. Pretty much for any context, any industry, you can do it. Do keep in mind that all large language models have randomness, which means that invariably you will never get the exact same result. And that's a good thing. It means that it's being very creative, not deterministic. So if five of us ask the same question, of course, we will get a different answer. The reason is that it depends on what is the prompt that you're writing. It also depends on what your custom instructions are. For example, if I have in my settings given a specific custom instruction as to who I am, then obviously the output will change as well. Just give me a moment to turn off the annotation for everyone so it doesn't distract. 1 second. I want to disable it. Just a moment. And I want to disable annotation for others. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, as you can see with the slightly bigger prompt, the one that I have already pre-written, clearly the quality of your output is going to be so much better because you're not just giving a one-line prompt where Claude has to do a lot of thinking. So this is essentially, everyone, how you should write a prompt. If you already have your process outlined in a Word document or a PDF, you can upload that. And then clearly the output will not just be bigger, but it will also be more customizable and of better quality. As you can see, now that I wrote a slightly bigger prompt, do you see how it is now breaking the channel into branch and digital and so on and so forth, right? Like that. Okay, if there's any quick question, I'll take it up. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next example. I want to show you something different. But any quick question before that? Either put it in the chat window, talk to me if there's something you would like to ask. All good? All right. I'm not going to do each one for you because they are very similar. So there's one for a Gantt chart. Like I said, I don't want to do it because now that you've understood the basics, you should have the confidence to go back and try it on your own. But you can see it can create these beautiful Gantt charts. Like this is one for Anderson, a high risk loan diagram. Then there's one more that I've done, which is for an employee onboarding. Now, the reason I want to do this for you is because do you see how the colors are different? And that's very smart. If I show you the prompt says that, have a look. The prompt says that we have to create a comprehensive financial process. Finance role maps the step-by-step workflow. It should meet regulatory compliance, audit reviews, report submission, fund allocation. Non-compliance consequences. So we're also mentioning what will happen if something goes wrong. So not just the niceties and the good things, but what could go wrong as well. And at the end, we say user-friendly, streamlined flow, clear understanding of critical path activity. This is again very important. The moment I say I want critical path, it means that certain nodes will be identified in a different color because I have only mentioned that they are very important. Again, as you can see, if I can copy my prompt, let's copy this, come back to Claude. And as you can see, kindly share the prompts. Rohit, I'll not do it now. I'll tell you why, because in any case, after the session is over, I will be sending the entire PDF to you, right? Right after the session is over. I don't want to send it now because you won't have time to practice it. Also, I won't be able to share each one with you, right? So you can take the time after the session to practice on your own terms, right? Let me copy this, take it back to Mermaid. Now, do you see how nice this is? Do you see everything in red color, everyone? That is the violation where the compliance is not being met. For example, it clearly tells me that if there is a compliance violation when it comes to initial checks, that's a red color. Here again, you notice that if there is a filing penalty because I did not do the submission on time, then there is a 20,000 dirham fine per day. Here again, you notice that there is a reputational risk in case our compliance standards are not met. So it's beautiful that it's not just creating a outline for me, but it is also able to annotate for me what the deadlines are, what is the timeline we need to follow. And if you already have these points with you, you can upload that as a supporting document to Claude. Either you can paste the text or you can also upload like a Word document or a PDF, and it can understand your timeline from your document and then customize it for you, right? All right, let's look at the next one. This is very different. I work with a client called Metropolis Healthcare. It's a diagnostic lab. And we want to create an organization chart, right? Something we haven't done so far. So have a look. I'm going to copy my prompt. And this again is absolutely fabulous. In fact, let me turn off my dark mode. Yeah, this will be easier for all of you. As you can see, I've said I want to create an organization chart. I want to map the hierarchical structure. These are the roles I want: clinical operation, business development, market engagement, supply chain, compliance, logistics. And as you can see, even if I had uploaded my own organization profile, it would have been able to create an org chart for me that looks like this. In this case, I asked for the international market, for the African market. So that is what it has done. And if you say thanks, can you add 15 more roles? It can really understand that level of complexity, which otherwise would have been very hard for you to create. I still work with a lot of companies who do all of this on an Excel file or on a PowerPoint, which is definitely not the best way of doing it. As you can see, you can even create like a very detailed diagram like this. And if you want to add more levels, you can say add 10 more levels. Let me copy this, go back to Mermaid. Okay, let's copy this, come back to Mermaid and paste it here and check this out. So cool, right? And keep in mind, everything is editable. Is it something you will pick up in a minute? No, but if you spend 30 minutes on it, because I do a lot of it, I can assure you it's not really that difficult, right? And if you do get stuck at any point, remember you can always go to Claude and ask it to fix the error for you, right? Perfect. That's the one with the org chart. Let's move on. The next example I want to do is to show you a progress dashboard. Very different. So far, we have seen a flow chart, org chart, Gantt chart, process flow. But what if we want to create a progress dashboard? Literally like a pivot table or a Power BI or a Tableau dashboard. So I work with a client called Sterlite Power, which in fact happens to be my oldest client. Um, we want to create a dashboard, and what we have specified is I want three critical stages. So in the power transmission business, you first dig up the foundation, you erect the tower, and then you string the cables. There are three stages. That is what I've specified. I've also said that I want different tower types. I want the KPIs such as completion percentage, average completion time, resource allocation, etc. I've also specified I want a 16 by 9 format. I don't want something squarish. I want something like a rectangle, almost like a PowerPoint. I also want stakeholder to monitor real-time progress, bottleneck, data-driven decision making. As simple as that. We can come back, paste the prompt, and as you can see, it takes about 10 seconds and it creates a mockup. Remember, it's a mockup because I'm not provided my data to it. Can we work with our own data? Absolutely. But that is not in the scope of today's session. There is already a different video that I have on YouTube that you can see. But in this one, at least the mockup, the wireframe that we want to create, which otherwise takes a lot of time, can be done with a single prompt. Have a look. Let me publish it to show you in full glory how it looks. So I'll publish it, copy it, and check this out. Isn't that beautiful? I have the KPIs at the top, 75%, which is 5% over last month. Resource allocation is 2% below last month. 15 days average completion time, delays. There are tooltips on it. What was the plan actual, which is the variance analysis, foundation erection stringing for three different projects like this. Once you have the mockup with you, then you can use it as a placeholder to create your own Power BI or Tableau dashboard. Earlier, for many years, I used to use tools like Excalibur to create these mockups, or you use something like Figma to do it, but now you can do it with a single prompt. Okay, before continuing, I'll wait for a minute if you have any questions on this. Ashish, the critical path were the red ones, if you remember. Let me just show you once again. Do you see these nodes that are red in color? That is the critical path. See here, the critical path is not like the PERT CPM critical path. Here, the critical path refer to stages where a non-compliance can lead to a problem for the company. That is what we mean by the critical path. Right? I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, right, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else, anyone, on the dashboard that I've created? All good? Okay, let me quickly check the question. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if we have data here, that's exactly what I want to show you. Please have a look. So this is much more complicated. So I work with Bharat Petroleum. Um, what I've done here is I've taken one of their data sets. Now, obviously, to maintain privacy, I can't share the complete data with you, but I'm showing you a snapshot. So this is one of the data sets that come from their system where we have coupons. So we have the QR code, the product code, the status, old code, scheme, grade, scan, latitude, longitude, etc. Now, the way I've created the prompt is that I'm mentioning that I want to create a QR code lifecycle dashboard for Bharat Petroleum. This is what it should have: transaction tracking, lifecycle, customer interaction, operational metric. So basically, I've taken the columns, not the data, but I've taken the columns from their data and look at what it creates. Simply by telling it what columns I have in my data, and this could be any data set, it is now able to use those columns to create a much better data set for me. Have a look. And as you can see, let me publish it. Let's copy it here. Yeah, here we go. QR code lifecycle dashboard. The icons have been picked up. Daily scan, processing time, failed transaction. The scheme, Smart Fleet, Fuel Rewards, Loyalty Plus. I have created an active expired. Obviously, it can't show a map, but it is creating the placeholder for the map. Then you have the hash validation, SAP integration, and so on and so forth, right? So the difference is this time, I did not ask it to decide what columns to take. I told it what columns I want, right? And you can see we have retail and commercial. Even though those are not active drop downs, if you want to, you can do it. We'll do it in the next few examples. Rohit, I do have the paid version to Claude. I don't know for sure what the restriction is. Unfortunately, that you will have to check on your own. But Claude is again 2000 per month, which I think is a great value. And you don't need to like buy a annual license. You can always use it for a month and cancel it. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Um, See, essentially, think about it. If I go to a free tool, okay, let's say I go to the free version of ChatGPT. I'm not even logged in. If I ask it, create a mermaid syntax, okay, for um, a process flow for onboarding an ICICI customer. So what I've done here is I'm not going to Claude and creating the diagram directly. I'm simply asking ChatGPT to create the syntax. Now, if I copy this and I come back and I put it in Mermaid, see, it is working. So it's not that you can't do it with the free version. The only challenge is that in the free version, obviously the depth will be lesser. It might not be go into specific detail. Like here, if I ask it, make it more detailed, it won't stop me. It will attempt to do it, but the chances that there will be slight errors here and there will be more. Again, as you can see, it does work. But did you see there's an error that came in? So those are the challenges that you will have to resolve on your own. But otherwise, if you don't want to spend that 2000 per month, you can use it to some limited extent. I'm not sure what that limit is. I assume it's about 5 or 10 or 15 attempts, but that you will have to check on your own. I mean, I should know the answer to that, but unfortunately I don't. I will also have to check that, right? Okay, moving on. Um, oh, this is very cool. So I'm working with a client called Genus. So Genus, everyone is in the infra business, so they create smart meters, right? It's a new client. Now, what I've done here is I've basically gone to this website. Have a look. This is very cool. This is the National Smart Grid Mission. What is the data we have? The nodal agencies, state, DISCOM, scheme, sanction, awarded, deployment. Then you have multiple, I mean, you have the name, achievement, and the cumulative achievement, the month achievement and the cumulative achievement. With one screenshot, would you believe it? I've literally taken one screenshot and I am simply asking it to create a dashboard from the screenshot, 16 by 9 aspect ratio, very detailed, also show insights. This is brilliant. With one screenshot, it is able to extract all the details, create a dashboard, and also give me insights. So it's not just creating a front end, it is also able to summarize the data and tell me what are the actionable points. Have a look. Did it complete first? And similarly, if you had the entire data, in fact, from the website, as you can see, I also have the option of, just a moment. I also have the option to, let me open it. I also have the option of downloading the Excel. It's public data, right? So there's no problem in exporting to Excel if you do want to work on the complete data. But as you can see, if I can publish it and show you, check this out. Isn't that amazing? The fact that from a single screenshot, it was able to extract the numbers, tell me the total sanction awarded achievement, even give me the percentage, right? Then it gives me the state-wise split, sanction awarded achievement, and the discount wise. And the insights, don't forget this. This, everyone, is not just the numbers that it is picked up. It is also telling me that most deployments commence between October 23 and January 24, which means that without me having to read it, it is able to do that for me. Obviously, this is a very small snapshot. So the insights would also be limited, but it's a proof of concept to tell you that Claude does have the capability of managing even large data sets. So don't feel it's only for simple diagrams. It can actually create fully ready to use dashboards on your real data as well, right? Okay, again, I'll wait for a minute in case you have any questions, then we'll continue. I'll wait for 30 seconds. Any questions, anyone? I know I'm showing you a lot of different examples, but that's the idea. Not to go deep in one example, which I can, but to give you a peek at what all Claude can do, and then you can go back and try these things on your own. Right? Okay. If there are no questions, moving on. I'm just thinking which one to cover. Okay, let's look at this. So we work with D. Shaw, a lot of trainings on Excel, VBA, Power BI. Now, what we are doing here is I'm taking a Python code, right? You can do this with any code, HTML, even an Excel formula for that matter. Watch this. I can copy a code, right? So I'll come back. I will copy a code or an Excel formula, remember? And I can tell it, hey, make it, look at the prompt, make it into a meaningful process for a non-technical C-suite. So essentially, I want to present how the code works to someone who doesn't understand it or need to understand it. But if he or she wants to understand what the process is, now you don't have to rely on a data scientist. You can just copy the code, put it in Claude, and it will create a diagram that is intelligible. It will explain to you not how the code is working, but what is happening. As you can see, it tells you first you collected the raw data, did the data cleaning, feature engineering, model training, model evaluation, performance metric, and then the feature impact analysis. Beautiful, right? You're taking something highly technical and then converting it into something that is readable for the regular person. And you can do this with Excel formulas as well. In fact, if you allow me to show you, so I'm writing a book on HR analytics. And just earlier today, I was working on converting formulas into diagrams. Have a look. So these are all Excel formulas, like really complicated, long Excel formulas with lambdas, dynamic arrays, let functions, etc. And do you see what I'm doing? I'm converting all my Excel formulas into diagrams, right? So this is such a practical way. It helps me as an instructor, as a consultant, and it obviously helps the client because they're able to read it, not just look at the formula, but understand what is happening in a workflow format. Ashish, the code was something that I had put in my PowerPoint, but this could be any code. It could be, like I said, an HTML code, a Python code, an Excel formula, a Power BI formula. Any language, any formula that you have, you can put it on Claude and ask it to create a diagram for you, right? Like this.
Noted, sir.
Okay, moving on. This is again very cool, very different example. So I was doing a training with Diageo, the world's largest alcohol company, last month in Bangalore. And we were working on a problem where we had two files. Let me show that to you. So as you can see, I have, okay, just a moment. Files. Yeah. As you can see, I have two files with me. And the problem is that I am suspecting that the columns are not matching. Now, I'm sure all of us have been in this position earlier. You ask people to fill up a template, but then you're not sure is the template matching or not. And the dangerous thing in the world is when people say they are similar. See, similar doesn't help me because it doesn't tell me whether they're matching or not. It's binary, right? Either it's matching or not matching. There is no in between. Now, either you open the file and then you open the other file and then you go column by column to check if they are matching or not. It's a boring, repetitive, time consuming process, and the chance of you making an error are immense. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is I will do this on ChatGPT. I mean, you can do it on Claude as well, but just for variety, I'm doing this on ChatGPT. Now, in ChatGPT, I'm not going to do it natively. I mean, I can, but I'm going to use something called Whimsical. So Whimsical is a add-on. As you can see, I went to Explore GPT and I installed a free tool called Whimsical. And in Whimsical, I can instruct that, hey, these are two files that I have, and my prompt is, please check if the columns are matching. And if they are not matching, don't change it. Don't improve it or fix it. Simply inform me as the user that, hey, Havish, this is the diagram telling you which columns are matching and not matching. Check this out. So I've uploaded two Excel files without knowing whether the columns are matching or not. So it is automatically writing the Python code. This can happen in Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, all the three. But in my experience, ChatGPT does the best job at writing the Python code. So as you can see, it is loading both the files, looking at the sheet, taking the list of headings, which are called the field. And finally, it will now tell me that, hey, these are the columns which are matching. These are the columns that are not matching. And now Whimsical will be used to visualize it. See, even this is a great answer. It tells me what is not matching, so I can go back and fix it. But it is even better if you could visualize it, isn't it? And that is exactly what Whimsical will do. As you can see, check this out. I'm just going to click on the link and here we go. Let me just zoom in. Pretty cool, right? Do you see what it's doing? It's going column by column and it's telling me that, hey, all these columns are matching. But you see at the end, it tells me that in one of the files, the column is called order ID. In the other file, it is part one, part two, part three. In one of the files, it is called city, state, country, which is one column. But in the other file, they're broken into three different columns, city, state, and country. Like I said, language models are random. Like when I did it, when I was creating the content for this webinar, my output came like this. I mean, like I said, unless you specify what type of chart you want, answer is the same answer. It's just that it will present it in a different way unless you tell it how exactly you want to see it, right? But forget the diagram. Look at the use case. It's such a amazing use case, right? I know for years I've spent so much time trying to figure out if my files are clean. Are they consistent or not? Are they non-uniform? Is there a spelling mistake? Is there an extra space? And now generative AI can help us with that, right? Okay, moving on. Very different example. Aether isn't one of our clients, but I like to cover this example always. Now, Aether has a pricing calculator. Let me show that to you. So Aether has the savings calculator. So this is the electric savings. So what they say is that we have these models, which is 450X, 450S, Rista. You can ride between 15 to 100 kilometers per day. And depending on how much you're riding the two-wheeler, you can save money. Now, what if I want to create something like this? This looks very cool, doesn't it? Check this out. I will just go to a new chat. And what I'm doing here is I'm just copying my prompt. Nothing special. The prompt simply says, create a savings calculator. It should have a drop-down menu to choose different state. It should have a slider input to choose between 10 to 100 kilometer. It should have different Ether model so I can toggle between them. It should display the dynamic saving and it should be visually engaging and intuitive. And as a support, I will also give it the screenshot from the website. Now you might say, but Havish, why do you need to give it the screenshot? We don't, but if you don't give it the screenshot, how will it know what you want to create visually? And also, how would it know what models Ether has, right? So I've given two screenshot and the prompt, and look at this. It's brilliant. It won't replace a programmer, but to be honest, I think the work that 15 programmers would have done in the past, now Claude can do, and you probably only need one programmer, right? Check this out. It is able, everyone, to create the entire savings calculator for me, and it is dynamic. Check this out. Do you see this? I have different states. I have different models. I can choose my distance, and you see this. As I move it, it is even changing my number, saving, service cost, and the chart as well. How brilliant is that? Now you might say, but Havish, how does it know what is the petrol cost in Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Delhi? You know how? Check this out. I told it I want three different states dynamically updating the petrol rates specific to the chosen region. Look at this. Do you see this part? Karnataka, Maharashtra, Delhi. It even picked up the petrol price for me. One level more, in the next version, I can even make it dynamic so that with an API, it can fetch it from one of the government websites. But even as a starting point, this is fantastic, isn't it? Okay, any questions on this? Anyone? So we started with two screenshot and a prompt specifying in detail exactly what I wanted, and it recreated that for me. All good? All right, let's move on. The next example I want to cover is Chios, which does happen to be one of our clients. So what I want to do here is I want to create a mobile app mockup, right? Before I press enter, let me tell you what we are trying to create. So we want to create a mobile app mockup. It should include gamification, visual interaction, AI-powered recommendation, partnership, order placement, payment modes, loyalty program. And as you can see, with one single prompt, it is able to create the entire mobile app mockup for us. Is it perfect? No. Will it save you time? You bet. I mean, if a project was probably taking you 20 hours, I expect you can reduce that by 80%, right? Look at this. And remember the amount of detail that I have given it, you can give it even more details. So it's not that it can't handle that larger prompt. You can give it like 15 different details and it can do that for you. So check this out, right? This is the onboarding screen. I'm actually not sure how to proceed, but just a moment. There is no option on the home page to proceed. Okay, let's fix that. So it's automatically adding a call to action. Do you see how smartly it is rewriting the code for me? It says I've added a floating Arduino button above the navigation bar. Okay, let me again tell it that I cannot see it. Now see, if you're thinking, but Havish, then why do we even need a programmer? Of course, you need a programmer. You need a product manager. You need somebody in marketing who understands business use cases. Yes, it can write the code for you, which is crazy. But if you don't know how to edit it, how to modify it, how to tell it what you need, take a business requirement from your client and then convert it into a solution. You need a smart guy to do that, right? Otherwise, just the tool by itself, I don't think is enough. You need a person to operate it as well. But again, as you can see, it's beautiful, right? I mean, for like one single prompt, I think it has done a fantastic job, right? See, there's even a notification panel at the top. Right? It's not perfect, right? But I think for a single prompt, it has done a fantastic job. So imagine you're starting a new company, you don't have a lot of money, and you just want to test a few ideas. This is fantastic, right? It does your job for you. Right? Okay, perfect. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to cover all the other examples, but I'll just show you. So here I created a NABARD farmer app where I created 10 different pages with the call to action. So the green is basically the button that you click on. My prompt was create a wireframe similar to Figma to show the 10 stages of a farmer app made by NABARD, right? Like this. This is very cool. I want to show this to you. So Jubilant is one of our clients. And what we are doing here is I'm creating a PowerPoint slide. So I want a 16 by 9 PowerPoint slide, gamified strategy for inter-store competition. Jubilant is Domino's, right? So let's say we're doing an inter-store competition and we want to illustrate the sales target, leaderboard, reward tier, customer engagement. We want to have gamification, real-time updates, store ranking challenges. I want to use icon and cues. I want to layout that is exciting, winter themed. And I also want to create a user-friendly visual workflow. Check this out with one single prompt. And to anyone who's thinking, but Havish, it's because of the prompt that you're getting the output. To be honest, my prompt is nothing very special. It's just a basic prompt, right? I can make it better if I want to, but right now the prompt isn't really that special, to be honest with you, which means any of you can do it with a little bit of practice. Again, as you can see, it writes the entire code for me, right? This time it is an SVG, right? Let me just copy that. Okay. Now you might say, but hey, it's a little rough around the edges. I agree with you. So I might have to come back to it and tell it, hey, I don't want an SVG, right? I will say, thanks. I do not want SVG. I want React. Okay. Look at this. Let it complete first. And as you can see, okay, I think it got stuck somewhere, but let me try once. Yeah. See, much better, right? Again, like I said, let me retry once again. I mean, it will work. I know it will work because I've already tried it before. And this is what I had got. Beautiful, right? Nice title, KPIs, subtitle, colors are perfect. Look at the numbers at the bottom, the next milestone, right? Same prompt that I had done earlier is what I had used. And like I said, you just have to try it a few times. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it's getting stuck, but nevertheless, in fact, if I just come back to the first one and I will say use React, let's give it one more go. Okay, while this is happening, let's move on to my next example. This is for a LMS. DS again is one of our clients. So we want to create a learning management system. So my prompt is I want a learning pathway, step-by-step process, touch points like enrollment, instructor profile, course resource, tracking progress, etc. And as you can see, it creates a learning management system for me. I'll also show this one to you. And in the meantime, okay, I'm not sure why it's getting stuck, but nevertheless, let's try the one with DS. So this is my learning management system. Such a basic prompt, and it does a fabulous job. Look at this. Now, this created a diagram. So I have to tell it, no, I don't want a diagram. Just a moment. I want to say, design a comprehensive learning management system mockup. Okay. Remember, I don't want a diagram. We've already done that before. I want a mockup of the actual learning management system. And this is what it creates. Yeah, you know what? I think this is just getting stuck. Let me just try in a new chat. Okay, here we go. Pretty good, right? DS Group Learning Management System. And you see these buttons are clickable as well. Isn't that fantastic? Right? Just check this out. Right? Okay, here it is. This is the one I wanted to show you. Have a look. Just a moment. Look at this. Beautiful, right? Can you imagine how much time it would have taken you to create something like this? Take a screenshot, put it in your PowerPoint, and you're good to go. No one else will even know that you have done this on Claude, right? Okay. Is there any question that I missed? Is there any way we can standardize repetitive documents of fixed frequency of an Excel file from a website through GenAI? Do you have any standard prompt to create all analysis recommendation from Excel and put that in stand? Rohit, there is no standard prompt. You shouldn't search for one because if it was that easy, then anyone else could have done it, right? At the end of the day, as a consultant, that's what we do for our clients. A lot of web scraping, automation, Power Query, VBA, Python. But there is always that last mile change that you have to do, that customization that you have to do, right? Every data set, every client, every software is different. So it's impossible, not just hard, to get a standard prompt. There are days when Talha and I spend 3 hours, 4 hours refining one prompt. Even the content that I'm showing you today, do you think it happened the first time? No, I had to try like 12 different combination before I found the correct one, right? So what you're asking is a valid question because that is what we do as a consultant. But then it's not that easy, right? I mean, generative AI is a fantastic tool, but you still have to learn code, automation, how to work across different systems, right? You still need to understand how to identify a business need and convert that into a process, right? So that part is not taken away. You still have to know all of that, but it can help you save a lot of time, work much more efficiently, right? That's the way I look at it, right? Okay. Moving on, this is again very nice. So, Renew Power is India's largest renewable energy company. And I want to look at important events in the renewable sector in India in the last 5 years. Look at this. So, my prompt here is have a look, create a line chart, show important events in the renewable sector in India in the last 5 years. This is beautiful. Look at this. A very different example. This time we're not creating a mockup or a diagram or a process. I'm actually showing real inflection points. So we are saying that in 2019, capacity was 84 gigawatts and so on and so forth. Now, if you say, but is that all? No, you can make it much more detailed. So I can say, make it much more detailed. And look at the revised output. Do you see now it's even giving you the breakup of solar, wind, hydro, right? And biogas, right? Look at this. Almost there. And okay, pretty good, right? Do you see the amount of detail that we have now, right? And these are also clickable, by the way, right? And you can, of course, make different variations. I won't cover all of it, but as you can see, if I told it to add annotation, footnotes, here I said create a vertical timeline. In fact, this one I want to show you. Create a vertical timeline design. Check this out. I absolutely love it. Look at this. Like I said, you need to know what keywords to use in what context. It's not difficult, but there is so much that you have to learn and gradually get better at. That is the prompt engineering part of it, right? Did it complete? And here we go. Isn't that beautiful? Of course, like I said, the output will be different every time. In fact, the one I got earlier was much simpler. This time it is even more detailed. It's beautiful. Look at this. All events, right? And one more was this one. I said create a calendar heat map. I'm not going to do it for you, but you can see what it did, right? With a tooltip. In fact, I do want to show you. Create a calendar heat map tooltip on over showing a line chart. Now, any of you who are thinking, but Havish, we don't know how to write these prompts. We did not know what a calendar heat map is. That's the learning rate. While it's not really a part of generative AI, unless you know those keywords, unless you're familiar with the 600 types of charts that McKinsey and Accenture and Gartner are using, how do you expect you'll be able to do all of it? Just look at this. And it's dynamic. I can just hover and you see what's happening, everyone? Look at this. Beautiful, right? Like even for me to do something like this on Power BI, it's going to be really hard. And it did that for me. The only thing left is to upload your data and it will create it for you, right? Okay, moving on. Chatbot. Uh, Something different, which we have not done earlier. So here I'm saying that for National Stock Exchange, we are creating an interactive chatbot. We want content related to FPA, financial planning and analysis. We want an FAQ, MCQ, smart chatbot, IVR option. Look at this. Does a brilliant job. As you can see, it is automatically writing the questions for you. Remember, you can tell it what your questions are with the answer key. Otherwise, it will automatically figure out what questions to ask. So as you can see, let it complete first. Look at this. Chat, this is my FAQ, okay? Even though it's not clickable, then you have the MCQ, right? It even tells you what is the correct and the incorrect answer and the IVR, right? Like this. It's a starting point. You can make it much better, right? Right now, the buttons are not clickable, but you get an idea, right? Okay. Different example. We're almost towards the end. What if we want to recreate a chart? Let's say I have this chart by EY. Let's just take any other chart. Let's go to Gartner chart. Okay. Let's pick one of these. I want to take maybe this one. Right click, no, copy image. And my prompt is, hey, I have this chart, recreate this. That's it. I just have to borrow a chart from one of the firms and then ask it to recreate it and see what it does. It won't be perfect, but it will do quite a good job. Look at this. Not bad, right? I mean, for a starting point. And of course, you can, build on top of it. Right? If you say, I also want the concentric circles. 1 second. Don't expect it to work perfectly, but it will do a fairly good job for you. Let me show you something else after this. 1 second. Um, yeah, like I said, that's the learning that is not perfect always, but you have to get better at asking the correct prompt. The next one I want to show you, we just have like 3 examples left, is how do you take an entire PPT and convert it into one infographic? So what I have with me here is a PDF, which is an Accenture report. It's 34 pages. Elevate your decision with intelligent banking operations, right? Like this, a standard Accenture report. Now, what if I ask you to summarize it? Just see what I'm doing. I will go back to Claude and I will upload it. And what we're going to do is I'm going to tell it, summarize the entire PPT. It's actually a PDF, but that's okay, in a single infographic. Okay, look at this. Okay, we do have to switch the model because I've exhausted, but hold on. I think Haiku should be able to do it as well, but we will get to know. Yeah, I mean, seems all right, at least at first glance. Let us see what it does. So it's writing the HTML for you and not bad, right? Now you might say, is that it? Hey, it's a big deal. The fact that it read an entire PDF and gave you a one-page summary. There's so much time that we usually have to spend to that. If I say, thanks, convert this into a professional infographic like Accenture. Let's give that a shot. Right? Anyway, while this is happening, this is what I had done. As you can see, it took the PDF and it made quite good looking summary for you. In fact, the colors that it opted for were also Accenture color, which was even better, right? Okay, look at this. Pretty good, right? Okay. Um, Next thing is I can take an infographic and I can ask it to extract top 5 takeaways and actionable points in bullets with icon. And I want the output also as an infographic. Let me do that. First, let me show you this one. Do you see this? Not bad, right? From an Accenture PDF, it managed to create an entire infographic for me like this. Okay. The next one I would like to show you is this one. If I take a sample, okay, and I ask it to extract top 5 takeaways with actionable points in bullets with icon, and the output should not be text, but an infographic. Please see what it does. Um, okay. You know what? I want to try that again. Hold on. Opus did not work. Can I use Haiku for it? 1 second. Anyway, it can do this for you. And if I say, show this as an infographic, by now you have the idea of what is possible. By the way, this is what I created. So cool, right? Like I took a very complicated chart, a lot of stuff happening here, these combination charts, trellis charts, right? And I managed to create the summary like this, right? Here, if you see, okay, it didn't create an infographic, but you get the idea. Next example is, I won't do it for you, but if I said create an infographic for Azure Power, which is one of our clients, look at what it did. It created an infographic like this. And this is like really, really good quality. This is like Canva level of quality, right? And also, I'm going to show you something very different on Chat GPT, where I can take a tender document. So this is lots of these are available online. So this is a Rashtriya Chemical and Fertilizer Limited 23-page tender document. Now it's very boring and highly technical, right? What I can do is I can take the PDF to Chat GPT and I can say create a mark map syntax. You can do this in Claude as well, but I don't know, for some reason I use ChatGPT for it. Maybe it's better or because I've got used to it, but ChatGPT does a very good job, right? So what we're doing is we upload a PDF. It could be a research paper, an article, an annual report, and we ask it to create a mark map syntax. Once it creates the entire syntax for us, right, which is a summary, I can copy this and we can go to a website called Mark Map. The website, everyone, is markmap.js.org. And if I paste my syntax, check this out. Let me download it. It's pretty good, right? Your entire tender document is now looking like this. How cool. And do you see this? These are clickable. And these are links. Why is it a link? Because it picked a link from the original PDF, so it showed you a link here as well. Look at all the annexures and everything. It's brilliant, right? And I can tell you with confidence, this is of immense use because when I show it to legal teams at different companies that I work with, they're amazed and they find it so helpful. So this is not my opinion I'm sharing with you. This is really something that clients absolutely love, right? So yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to show you today. There's a lot more that generative AI can help you do, but I think this was a good start, right? And of course, I'll be sharing the documents with you. Perfect. So we have some time if you want to ask any questions, anyone. Ashish, did the data get picked up from the website? No, let's not mix up different things. There is certain public data that it can pick up from the website. If I can give you an example, if I ask Claude to create a line chart to show market share for Kia Motors, right? Now it can pick up. Okay, I can't do it now because I've reached the limit. Let me try on my free account. 1 second. And the next question you have is, can it make diagrams? But that's what it did. No, it did make diagrams. I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you just ask the question in a different way? In the meantime, I'll show you line chart to show market share of Kia in the United States, right? Do you see the numbers? Now, because this is public data, it's available on news articles, etc. It is able to do that for me. I'm not saying that you can rely on it. Like I said, let's not mix up factual research with diagrams. Ideally, you should provide your data to it, or you should ask it, where is this data picked from, right? And it will tell you where it is picked the data from. See, it told you approximate an illustration, but it said you will need to replace it with actual data. So it can't directly go and do it for you. But if I go to Perplexity, for example, and I say Kia market share in US, okay, for last 10 years. Do you see this? Now it is giving you the numbers because it has access to the internet. Now you can go back and you can give it the data. So obviously now what it will plot for you will be the actual numbers, right? Something like that. Ashish, we went to, okay, got it. I'll tell you why we went to Mermaid C. Let me go to one of my diagrams once. Hold on. Let me switch my account. The reason is that from Claude, we cannot directly download a diagram. That's why. Let me explain properly. As you can see, from here, let's just pick one of these. If you notice, I cannot directly download it. I will have to take a screenshot, right? That's the reason why. In fact, hold on. Let me show you with the diagram, the one we did earlier, this one. Yeah. Here, if you see, it's a diagram, but I can't download it directly. You see, there is a download button, but that won't help. That is not going to download the diagram. It is going to download the code, the mermaid syntax. As you can see, it is downloading the mermaid extension for you, which won't help us. That is the reason we copy the code and we went to mermaid to be able to view it. And from here, you can download it. You can make changes. You can go to mermaid chart and you can make further changes to it, right? As you can see, let me just zoom in once. I have different designs and themes and whatnot, so I can make all those changes here, right? And here, if you notice, I can even make further changes to it, right? Like this. Perfect. Any other question? Anyone else? No, of course not. I mean, why would you even ask? Why would it go to a paywall and be able to extract data? Of course not, right? A, it can't. B, it's even if you could, it's not ethical, right? So even if you can write a Python code that can go to LinkedIn and scrape the data, you wouldn't want to do that in a professional setting because you shouldn't, right? You're not allowed to. It's not legal. And also it can't. It obviously will not go, to a paywall and get data from there. Any other question? Anyone? Perfect. I'll be sharing all the details with you. The recording will be put on YouTube as well. Feel free to reach out to me for any queries that you have. And I think we have finished right on time, so that's good for everyone. Perfect. So thank you everyone for joining in, and have a happy new year. And I plan to do a lot more sessions in the next couple of weeks, so hope to see you for those as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish sir. How are you?
Thank you. All well, sir. Thank you
you
so much and wish you a very happy new year.
Thank you, sir. Bhupesh sir, thank you so much for joining in.
Yes. It's a bit technical for me, but then that's insightful.
It's a start. It's a start, sir.
Yeah. It's a start.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Good. Okay.